In this video, we will explore ancient Buddhist teachings that have stood the test of time, offering wisdom and clarity for generations. These teachings are simple, yet profound, and can be easily applied to our daily lives. By keeping these truths close to your heart, you can experience lasting peace, happiness, and clarity. Watch closely as we break down 5 key lessons that can transform the way you live, today, tomorrow, and for the next 50 years. The first teaching that holds immense power in transforming our lives is mindfulness. At the core of mindfulness is the idea of being fully present in the moment, attentive to what is happening right now, without being swept away by thoughts of the past or worries about the future. It's easy to get lost in our thoughts, dwelling on regrets or anxieties, but mindfulness teaches us that the present moment is all we truly have. By being fully aware of each breath we take, the sensations we feel, and the thoughts passing through our minds, we can break free from the mental chatter that often clouds our inner peace. Mindfulness is not just a meditative practice, but a way of life. Whether we're eating, walking, talking, or working, being mindful allows us to engage deeply with each experience. This heightened awareness helps us to savor the richness of life. For example, imagine sitting down for a meal. Instead of rushing through it while thinking about your to-do list or scrolling on your phone, you take a moment to really taste each bite, to appreciate the colors, smells, and textures of the food. This simple shift in attention can turn an ordinary experience into something deeply enriching. The practice of mindfulness can also reduce stress and improve emotional resilience. When we are mindful, we can observe our thoughts and feelings without getting caught up in them. Instead of reacting impulsively to emotions like anger or frustration, mindfulness creates a space where we can acknowledge these emotions without letting them control us. Over time, this practice helps us develop a calmer, more balanced mind, allowing us to respond to life's challenges with greater clarity and compassion. In addition, mindfulness has a ripple effect that extends beyond our individual experience. When we are more present and attentive, we are better listeners, more patient, and more understanding in our interactions with others. Our relationships become deeper and more meaningful because we are truly there, in the moment, with the people we care about. By cultivating mindfulness, we not only benefit ourselves, but also contribute to a more peaceful and harmonious world around us. One of the core teachings in Buddhism revolves around the importance of letting go of attachments. In our modern world, we often find ourselves attached to material things, people, beliefs, or even the idea of how life should be. However, these attachments can become the source of our suffering. The Buddha taught that life is inherently impermanent, and that by clinging to things, we set ourselves up for disappointment when they inevitably change or disappear. Take, for example, our attachment to possessions. Many of us believe that acquiring more wealth or material goods will bring lasting happiness. But no matter how much we accumulate, there is always a lingering dissatisfaction because these things cannot provide true, enduring fulfillment. When we become attached to material objects, we fear losing them, and this fear can dominate our lives. By learning to let go of our attachments to things, we free ourselves from this constant cycle of desire and fear. The same applies to our relationships with people. While love and connection are essential parts of the human experience, becoming overly attached to others can lead to suffering. This doesn't mean we should withdraw from relationships or stop caring about the people we love. Rather, it's about embracing a non-possessive love, one that allows people to grow and change without clinging to them or trying to control their actions. When we let go of our need to hold on tightly to relationships, we create space for more genuine, compassionate, and unconditional love to flourish. Letting go of attachments also extends to our expectations and ideals. Often we hold rigid ideas about how our lives should unfold, and when reality doesn't match those expectations, we feel frustrated or disappointed. Buddhism teaches that by accepting life as it is, instead of constantly striving to make it conform to our desires, we can find peace. Life is full of uncertainty and change, and by embracing this truth, we become more adaptable and less affected by life's inevitable ups and downs. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means accepting the fluid nature of existence and finding freedom in that acceptance. Ultimately, the practice of letting go allows us to live more fully in the present moment, unburdened by the past or the future. It frees up mental and emotional energy, allowing us to experience life more deeply and with a greater sense of joy and contentment. By releasing our attachments, we invite a deeper sense of peace into our lives, a peace that is not dependent on external circumstances, but comes from within. Compassion is one of the most transformative teachings in Buddhism. At its heart, compassion is the desire to alleviate the suffering of others, combined with an understanding of their struggles. It goes beyond mere sympathy or pity. It involves actively putting ourselves in others' shoes and recognizing our shared humanity. When we cultivate compassion, we foster a deep sense of connection to the world around us, realizing that we are all interconnected. Compassion starts with ourselves. We often hold ourselves to impossible standards, criticizing and judging ourselves harshly when we fall short. Buddhist teachings remind us that to extend compassion to others, we must first be compassionate to ourselves. This means recognizing our own suffering, treating ourselves with kindness, and forgiving our mistakes. Self-compassion doesn't mean being indulgent or avoiding responsibility. It means being gentle with ourselves when we face challenges or failures, understanding that we are human and imperfect. Once we develop self-compassion, we can extend this kindness to others. When we see others suffering, instead of turning away or feeling indifferent, we can open our hearts and offer support, whether through words, actions, or simply by being present. Compassionate action might be as simple as listening to someone who is going through a tough time, or as profound as devoting time and energy to helping those in need. The key is to approach others with an open heart, free from judgment, and a genuine desire to help ease their pain. One of the most powerful aspects of compassion is that it transcends boundaries. It's easy to feel compassion for our loved ones, but true compassion also extends to strangers, and even to those we may not get along with. Buddhist teachings encourage us to see the common thread that binds all beings, the desire to be happy and free from suffering. When we recognize this, it becomes easier to respond to others with kindness and understanding, even in difficult situations. Compassion is not just an emotional response. It is a practice that can be cultivated. Through meditation and mindful living, we can nurture a compassionate mindset. Practices like loving-kindness meditation, where we consciously send out feelings of love and goodwill to ourselves and others, help to train the mind to be more compassionate. Over time, as we develop this habit of compassion, it becomes a natural part of how we interact with the world, and we find that our lives are enriched by the deep connections we build with others. In the end, compassion is a path to happiness, not just for those who receive it, but for those who give it. When we act with compassion, we experience a profound sense of fulfillment and purpose. We realize that by helping others, we are also helping ourselves, as the joy and peace that come from compassionate action reverberate within our own hearts. Understanding impermanence is one of the most essential and profound teachings in Buddhism. The concept of impermanence, or anicca in Pali, points to the fact that everything in life is constantly changing, evolving, and flowing. Nothing is permanent. Our experiences, our emotions, our relationships, and even our physical bodies are all subject to the forces of change. Although this truth may seem unsettling at first, accepting impermanence can lead to a deep sense of peace and freedom. We often resist the idea of change because it challenges our desire for stability and control. Humans naturally seek comfort in the familiar, and when things around us begin to shift, it can stir feelings of fear, uncertainty, and loss. We may cling to things, whether material possessions, people, or even ideas, hoping to preserve them as they are. But the reality is that no matter how tightly we hold on, Everything is in a state of flux. By resisting change, we only increase our suffering. Buddhist teachings invite us to see impermanence not as a source of fear, but as an intrinsic part of life's beauty. Once we come to terms with impermanence, we begin to appreciate the fleeting nature of all things. Life becomes more precious because we realize that each moment, each experience, is unique and cannot be repeated. Rather than taking things for granted, we learn to savor the present, knowing that it will soon pass. This understanding encourages us to live more fully, with greater gratitude for the experiences and people we encounter along the way. Impermanence also teaches us that suffering, like everything else, is temporary. When we are in the midst of difficult times, it can feel as though our pain will last forever. But just as happiness and joy are transient, so too are our struggles. By embracing the impermanent nature of both pleasure and pain, we can develop a more balanced outlook on life. We no longer get swept away by the highs and lows of our emotions, knowing that they are not permanent states. This realization can bring great relief, especially during challenging times, as we trust that everything, even our most painful experiences, will eventually change. Furthermore, impermanence helps us to let go of attachments, a central theme in Buddhist practice. We often suffer because we become attached to things we wish would last forever, whether it's a job, a relationship, or even a particular state of mind. But when we understand that nothing is fixed or unchanging, we begin to loosen our grip. Letting go of these attachments does not mean becoming indifferent or detached from life. Rather, it means learning to flow with the natural course of events, embracing the cycles of change without resistance. This mindset allows us to engage more freely with the world without being weighed down by the fear of loss or change. One of the most powerful aspects of impermanence is that it offers the possibility of renewal and growth. Because nothing is fixed, we are always evolving. Difficult situations, while painful, often lead to personal transformation. As the old falls away, new opportunities and experiences arise. By accepting impermanence, we open ourselves up to this continual process of renewal, allowing life to unfold with its natural rhythm. This understanding can help us face change with an open heart, recognizing that even endings can be the start of something new. In addition, impermanence can deepen our relationships with others. When we remember that our loved ones, like everything else in life, are not permanent fixtures, we are more likely to cherish the time we have with them. Knowing that nothing lasts forever encourages us to be present with the people we care about, to listen more deeply, and to love more fully. It also helps us to approach relationships with more patience and compassion, understanding that they will inevitably change and evolve over time. At its core, the teaching of impermanence is about accepting life as it is, rather than wishing it to be otherwise. It encourages us to see the beauty in the fleeting moments, to embrace change rather than fight it, and to cultivate a sense of equanimity in the face of life's inevitable ups and downs. This understanding allows us to live with more grace, peace, and resilience. As we integrate the teaching of impermanence into our daily lives, we begin to see that change is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. It is through change that life becomes dynamic and full of possibility. By learning to accept the impermanence of all things, we free ourselves from the illusions of permanence that cause so much of our suffering. In this acceptance, we find a deeper sense of freedom, a freedom that allows us to flow with life's natural rhythms, no longer bound by the need for control or certainty. Ultimately, impermanence is the gateway to a deeper spiritual understanding. It reminds us that everything is interconnected, part of a larger, ever-changing whole. By embracing this truth, we can experience a profound shift in our perspective, one that leads to greater compassion, wisdom, and inner peace. Impermanence, when fully understood, is not a source of fear, but a profound gift, offering us the chance to live more fully, more presently, and more joyfully in each passing moment. Gratitude is a powerful practice that has the potential to transform our entire experience of life. In Buddhist teachings, gratitude is much more than simply saying thank you. It is a deep, heartfelt recognition of the blessings and lessons we receive from both the positive and negative experiences in our lives. Cultivating gratitude allows us to shift our focus away from what we lack and instead appreciate what we have. This shift in perspective can bring immense joy, contentment, and peace as we begin to see the abundance in our everyday lives. One of the most fundamental ways to cultivate gratitude is by being mindful of the present moment. In our fast-paced world, it is easy to become preoccupied with what we want to achieve in the future or with the things we feel are missing from our lives. However, when we pause to truly appreciate the present, we become aware of the countless small blessings that often go unnoticed. The warmth of the sun on our skin, the smile of a stranger, the taste of a delicious meal. These are all moments of joy that we can savor when we bring our attention to them. Gratitude, as taught in Buddhism, extends beyond the obvious sources of happiness. It is not just about being thankful for the things that make us feel good or comfortable, but also for the challenges and difficulties we encounter. This may seem counterintuitive, but every experience, no matter how painful or uncomfortable, holds the potential for growth and learning. When we can view our struggles through the lens of gratitude, we start to see them as opportunities for self-discovery, resilience, and compassion. For example, when we face a setback or a disappointment, it is natural to feel frustrated or upset. But with a practice of gratitude, we can take a step back and recognize that these challenges are part of life's unfolding. They push us out of our comfort zones and help us develop strength, patience, and wisdom. Gratitude allows us to acknowledge that even in our darkest moments, there are lessons to be learned and new perspectives to be gained. Over time, this mindset helps us navigate difficulties with greater ease and grace. Gratitude also deepens our connection to others. In our interactions with people, it is easy to focus on what we feel is lacking or what frustrates us about them. However, when we approach our relationships with gratitude, we shift our attention to the positive qualities in others and the ways in which they enrich our lives. This shift can have a profound impact on how we relate to those around us. By consciously appreciating the kindness, support, and love we receive from others, we foster a sense of connection and compassion that strengthens our bonds. In Buddhism, gratitude is often associated with the practice of rejoicing in the merits of others. This means that we not only express gratitude for the kindness and generosity we receive, but we also take joy in the good deeds and successes of others. This practice helps to dissolve feelings of envy or competition, replacing them with a sense of shared happiness. When we can genuinely celebrate the happiness and achievements of others, our hearts expand, and we create a more harmonious and joyful world. One of the most transformative aspects of gratitude is its ability to cultivate contentment. In modern society, we are constantly bombarded with messages that tell us we need more success, more money, more possessions, in order to be happy. This constant striving for more creates a sense of dissatisfaction, as we are always focused on what we don't have rather than appreciating what we do. Gratitude, however, teaches us to be content with the present moment and with what we already possess. When we practice gratitude, we realize that true happiness is not found in external circumstances, but in our inner state of mind. It is not about accumulating more things or achieving more goals. It is about recognizing that we already have everything we need to be happy in this moment. This realization brings a sense of peace and fulfillment that is not dependent on outside conditions. We begin to understand that happiness is not something to be pursued, but something that can be cultivated within ourselves by simply appreciating what is already here. Incorporating gratitude into our daily lives can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to reflect on what we are thankful for. Some people find it helpful to keep a gratitude journal where they write down a few things they are grateful for each day. This practice not only helps to focus the mind on the positive aspects of life, but also serves as a reminder of the abundance that already exists around us. Even on difficult days, when it feels like nothing is going right, taking the time to acknowledge the small blessings, a roof over our head, food on our plate, the support of a friend, can shift our mood and bring a sense of calm and perspective. Gratitude is also deeply connected to the Buddhist principle of interconnectedness. In Buddhism, we are taught that all beings are interconnected and that our well-being is intertwined with the well-being of others. When we practice gratitude, we recognize that we are not isolated individuals, but part of a vast web of relationships. Every action we take, every breath we draw, is supported by countless beings and forces, from the food we eat to the people who help us in our daily lives. By acknowledging this interconnectedness, we develop a sense of humility and appreciation for the vast network of support that sustains us. This understanding of interconnectedness also leads to a greater sense of responsibility. When we are grateful for the resources and support we receive from the world around us, we naturally feel a desire to give back. Gratitude inspires generosity, as we recognize that our well-being depends on the kindness and contributions of others. In this way, gratitude not only brings us personal happiness, but also motivates us to contribute to the happiness and well-being of those around us. Ultimately, the practice of gratitude in Buddhism is about awakening to the richness of life in all its forms. It is about recognizing that every moment, no matter how ordinary, holds the potential for wonder and appreciation. Whether we are experiencing joy or sorrow, ease or difficulty, gratitude allows us to embrace life as it is, with all its imperfections and beauty. Through this practice, we cultivate a heart that is open, compassionate, and at peace with the flow of existence. As we integrate gratitude into our daily lives, we begin to see that it is not just a fleeting emotion, but a way of being in the world. It is a practice that brings us into alignment with the present moment, deepens our relationships, and helps us find contentment and peace. In this way, gratitude becomes a path to true happiness, one that is not dependent on external circumstances, but grounded in a deep appreciation for the gift of life itself.